Hey guys, what is up? I have to be kind of quiet this video because I'm up pretty late, but I wanted to make a video because I couldn't sleep. So today I wanted to do a little programming tutorial. If you don't have any experience with programming, it's okay. I'm gonna introduce everything fairly slowly, I think. Um, so I am pretty fluent with C++ and not much else. Um, So I'll be focusing with C++, but the good thing about this language is that it's basically the only language you need to know in order to go to any other kind of language, um, even objective-oriented um, programming languages. So okay, so I'm going to start at the top right here, just explain what all this stuff means. It's okay if you don't understand it all, it'll take some time, but I mean, I honestly just barely figured out what this stuff meant, and I'm actually in first semester of C++ programming, so no worries if you don't understand all of this, it's totally fine. But this is how it is, this is how you'll start a program. So this pound include IO stream, that means that we can output stuff onto the screen, which is right here, and we can also have the user input stuff through their keyboard. And that'll make more sense eventually. And this using namespace std, this is a little bit harder to explain, but this will make our coding a lot easier. Just put that in there and it'll save you a lot of time. So this is our main function. It starts right here and then goes to this curly bracket, then this curly bracket, and everything in here is part of this function called main. And you also need to put these parentheses right here. I'll explain those later as well. So this int right here is integer, and this is basically the outline for a function. You'll always put a return value right here, but for the main function you always put integer right here, or int, and then return 0, semicolon. Then this is actually just a simple program. I'll show you what it does. It just outputs hi on the screen, nothing else. And then, yeah, so I'll just start from the beginning. I wanted to do something very, very simple. So the first thing I thought to do was just do something that counted the amount of characters that we put in. So yeah, this will introduce a lot of concepts, but just replay it if you need to. And once you get familiar with this, then you'll have a pretty solid background, I think, because this will cover some very important topics. So first, we need to, I would say, let's just create the prompts and everything, like ask the user how to do stuff, and then we can create the variables as we go. And variables are basically just storage locations. So for example, I'll just write them out real quick. So actually, just do string name. So what this is a declaration of a variable. It's the string type, that's the type of variable that it is, and this is the name of it. And string might not make any sense, but what a string is basically just a line of text. So you could say, hello, my name is Drew. And then I'll explain what the end L means eventually. Let's just see what this puts out. Oh, sorry. That is not how you write it. Okay, so there's a semicolon right there, and then you do cout name in line. So I'm just showing you that string is basically just a line of text. See that all it is? That's all it is. So that's a variable. And the first thing I want to do though is ask the user for, I'm going to ask the user to put in a number. So cout, this isn't count, it's cout, and these are two double alligator things. And it's always this for putting information out onto the screen or sending it to files. You'll learn that eventually. But this is basically just saying it's putting text or numbers into onto the screen. That's basically all you need to know for now. So cout, then the double alligators, then we have to put quotations, and this is where we type whatever we want to. So please enter a number, then press the return, actually I'm not going to do that, return key. And then we put another quotation right there, and this is what our text will be. And I'm going to do double alligator again, and I'm going to put end line. And what this does, here, I'll show you what it does without end L. So we build it, and then it has please enter a number, whoops, please enter a number, then press the return key, but then it went right to the text that says that your program's done. So program ended with exit code 0. And what the end L, I'm not sure if that's a function. I don't think it's a function, but what this does, oops, that's not gonna, okay, I thought that wasn't gonna build. So it just puts an extra line before it prints out anything else. And just for an example, if we put another alligator sign right there, and then put space, hello, it would, here, we can keep on doing that for as many times as we want. It's not very practical in most cases, but you can do it this way. So yeah, we first put out, oh gosh, I keep doing that. We first put out this part, and then we put out a space, then hello. That's where this came from right here. And then we put in end line right here, and then it returned. So now we know how to put text on the screen. We can ask the user for input. And the way that we have the user put in information is called, is through cin. And this is where we use double alligators like that, but putting the opposite direction. So we're like putting information into the memory, and we're going to need to use it later. So think of it this way. I'm going to create a variable. It's integer number. So what this says is that we have a variable which is an integer, which is any negative number, 0, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just any whole number. So, and this is the name of it. That's the name that we gave it. Its name is number. And this equals sign allows for this value right here to be stored in this location. So what this does, I'll just keep it to this part right here. What this part does is it creates a storage location, and it says, hey computer, we need this amount of memory for an integer value, and we're going to name that place number. So it's kind of like a box. And then we can go to the next line and do this, or we can just do it like this. And then if we do that, that's saying, so we're going to create a storage location with the type integer, and we're going to name that storage location number. So it's like a box, and we put this 0 inside of that box. That's what this statement says. And with cin, that allows us to ask the user to put in a value for that variable. So when we do this, that's going to allow the user to enter a number and replace the 0 with something else. So remember, this is a box. This is just something that we put in the box. Now we're putting something else into the box with this line right here. And yeah, that's basically it. So please enter a number, then press the return key. This won't do anything, obviously, but it allowed us to put in a 4, and the program ended. So when we ended the program, the number is now 4. It's not 0 anymore, it's 4, because we typed in 4. So that's what cin allows us to do, and cout just allows us to put text on the screen. So now I'm going to do something that is a little bit more tricky, but this will give you a very good head start. So if you need to play this video over again, then feel welcome to, and watch other tutorials and look up the syntax for C++ if something isn't working in your program, and you'll learn it in no time. This is actually a pretty logical programming language, in my opinion. It can be difficult, but you'll be glad that you learned it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a program that asks us for a number and keeps asking us for a number, let's say 5 times. So we're going to do this 5 times, this sequence right here. And what we need to do that is called a for loop. And I will write everything in that we need, and then I'll explain everything, so no worries. And then, let's see. Yeah, that'll work. And then, yeah. And we have to put curly brackets around the for loop. Okay. So what the for loop does is it repeats this. And it repeats this according to what we do up here. Okay. So right here, this is where we basically just create a variable that's called I. And just like this, you can see it has the same format. It's just written right here. And whenever you use a for loop, I would suggest using something simple like a single letter. I use I. It doesn't really matter what you use. But you just make it 0. That's probably what you'll use most. You set this integer I equal to 0. And then this middle part right here, so you put a semicolon, then you have this statement. And this is called a check statement. And what this does is whenever you start the for loop, it'll execute this, and then it'll execute this. Okay? This is only the first time that it goes around. It'll check this part, and then it'll check this part. And if I is less than 5, then it will do everything in here. It will do everything in here. If it's greater than 5 or equal to 5, then it will not execute this and just keep going somewhere around here where we have other code. And this part right here is it's what the for loop executes after it finishes the loop. So once it goes through this, then it goes up here, and what this does is it adds 1 to I. So let's see how I can explain this. Let me just write it this way. That'll be easier to understand. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the for loop as the what is it called? The builder, oh my gosh, what is it? The compiler, yeah, that's the word. The compiler will go through the for loop in this way. So executes this is the first time around, so it makes an integer I and makes it 0. So now I equals 0. Then it checks this, is this true? If yes, then it executes this. If not, then it just skips the for loop and continues down here. In this case, I is less than 5, so it will execute this. So it'll print out, please enter a number, then press the return key, then enters a number. And once it's finished doing this, then it goes up to here and executes this. And what this says is, okay, since we have I right here in front of the equal sign, that means we're going to change the value of I. So you saw here that when we typed in integer number, that means we were going to change the value of number, and we changed it to 0, just like here. We changed the value of I to 0 right here. And right here it's doing the same thing. We're changing the value of I, and what we're going to do is we're going to make it equal to I plus 1. So that really just adds 1 to the value I. And you can write this just like that, I plus plus. And that's where C++ came from, if you didn't know. So yeah. So we went through this once, and then it executed that. So now I equals 1. Since it started at 0, we're just adding another one. So now it's 1. Is 1 less than 5? Yes. So it'll keep on doing this and add 1 until I is not less than 5. So once it gets to 5, it won't execute this, and it'll go down here. And then the program will end. So I'm going to write something out, and it might take a little while to comprehend what's going on, but I promise if you rewatch this video and look up other tutorials, it will make sense. So right here, we are putting a value into the storage container called number. This is just a box, remember? Then what I want to do with number is I want to, let's see, number equals, I know what we could do. So let's create another variable right here called integer sum. What this is going to do is just give us something. Wait, why is it giving me that? Okay. Sorry. So this is just creating another variable called sum. It's an integer type, and we're just going to make it 0. So what I'm going to have this do is I'm going to have it add up all the numbers that I type in. It's going to ask me 5 times for a number, and it'll add them up. Okay? So I'm going to make sum equals sum plus number. Okay, hopefully this makes sense. I will explain it, but don't worry if it doesn't. Okay, then I'm just going to finish the program and then explain it, and then it'll hopefully make more sense. Okay. So we made 2 variables. They're both integer types, so they carry whole numbers. They're boxes that hold whole numbers. So we can put zeros or -1, 1, whatever we want. -1,000, doesn't matter. This is the name of the box, and this is what we put in the box. And this for loop is going to repeat this while this is true. So while I is less than 5, then it'll keep on repeating this. So let's think of how this would work. I starts out being 0. This is just like a normal variable, okay? Just like up here. It starts out as 0, and is 0 less than 5? Yes, so it will execute this. Now let's see what it does. So it outputs on the screen, please enter a number, then press the return key. Let me compile it, and then I'll just show you what it does. So we enter a number, 9, then we press the return key. And obviously it gave us the same prompt again. Let's see what happened before it went back up here and started over. So we put in a number. So this changed the value of number to whatever we typed in. So it changed the value of number to 9. And this variable called sum, which we created up here with, well, right next to number, we're changing the value of sum because it's before the equal sign, remember. That means we're going to change sum by adding number to the sum. So we type in a number and we're adding that number to the sum, then making that equal to the sum. No worries if that doesn't make sense, but basically we're just adding this value to the sum, and we'll keep on adding up numbers, and then sum will equal, like, I don't know, 50 by the time we finish typing in the 5 numbers. And then what this does is it outputs that value sum on the screen. And notice that there aren't quotations right here, because if it was this, then it would just output literally this word sum on the screen. But we want it to put out the number, whatever this equals, whatever sum is by the time we finish this for loop, then we're going to output it right here. So let's see what it does. Let's say 9, 4, 5, 2, 1. And let's see if that's right. 9 plus 4 is 13, plus 5 is 18, 20, 21. So yeah, it was right. So hopefully that made sense. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.